Okay, welcome back to another episode of my narrated rolling. This week we're going to look at, we played a lot of close guard, so we're going to look at what happens when I'm inside the close guard and all the things that I try and do to at least defend myself inside the close guard while also trying to get out of it. Now, as everyone knows, when you're inside close guard, there are two parts of the setup that you need to do in order to pass the close guard. The first one is to break open the closed part of the legs of the bottom player, and the second part is to get around the legs into a better position, ideally side control, but sometimes you get mount, sometimes knee and belly, sometimes you even get the back. Those are the aspects. We'll look at a variety of things today that I did. So we'll start off with this little roll here. Now, full disclosure, this is going to be the full 3-minute roll with Jason and I, so if you find that a bit boring, then maybe ignore the whole thing, because this is close guard. Close guard is never the most exciting of things, at least from my perspective. But anyway, the first thing I'm trying to do is get inside control with my hands and my arms. And that will usually involve a bit of grip fighting, a bit of pummeling the arms. And at the same time, I'm really aware of any attacks that he might be trying to attempt on me. So good posture definitely helps to avoid the collar attacks. But with my arms sticking out like that, which I need to use to frame against his body, I am liable to certain things like arm bars, if it can feed inside triangles, but also a much underestimated attack is the omoplata. That's very much visible. But anyway, in this case, I'm very much aware of the attack, so I'm trying to posture this one. So he's opening his guard there, and that was an opportunity that I didn't spot, I didn't capitalize in. I'm sort of waiting around too long, and this is where referees tend to pick me up on this kind of thing and tell me off for sort of stalling inside someone's closed guard. So watch out for that. Don't hang around inside someone's closed guard and not look busy. So you have to make at least an attempt. Now in this case, I managed to grab his head and underhook here, and that's usually a starting point for when I can try and do a pressure style stacking pass. I may have shown this in one of my former videos, but in this case I had to bail because as you can see, he's wrapped the gi lapel around my neck for what we call the Bravo choke grip, which is a very, very strong grip, and he wants my posture broken, and the next thing he'll do with his hand is to feed it across. Now what I'm doing there is I'm framing away. I want to create space against his Bravo grip. I definitely do not want to be close. I want distance from Jason. You can see my arms extending out there, and trying to create distance and space away from the attacking zone. And luckily for me, Jason's still very much committed to that Bravo grip, and so that gave me a chance to stand up, go into combat base, and insert what we call the Logsplitter pass, which is one of my favourite ways of breaking open the closed guard. So you see, it does work. He opens his closed guard, and unfortunately the time ran out, so we don't really see the conclusion of it. It could be that I pass his guard, or it could be that he goes back to close guard or sweeps me. Now here's a roll with Gosha. She pulls me in for close guard, and in this situation I don't do any pummeling, grip fighting or anything. You can see my hand position, they're very extended. I'm already working towards the push choke. This is a really old school technique, and if I stand up and get quite vertical over her, the push choke causes a panic reaction, or at least you may not get a submission, but it causes a little bit of a panic, and they open their closed guard, which is what you see here. And here I sort of settle into a side position. Okay, another roll with Gosha. She pulls me into her closed guard. I'm trying to keep distance here, but also I want to sort of play a bit. So she doesn't pull me into closed guard. She goes into a sort of a triangle. You see that she was fashioning for a triangle there? So I'm aware that she's in the mood for a triangle attack. Why don't I try my good old-fashioned triangle bait? So you can see me reaching around behind me. And what I want to do is her to try the triangle again. So I want her to open up her legs, get that left leg over my shoulder, and close up for the triangle. Now, why am I confident that this is a thing that I won't get triangled? Well, if you look at my left hand, which is here, I'm digging it right into her armpit. And that means that this arm is safe, so that I'm very square on, and the triangle is much, much harder to finish when you're in this position. So she's gone for the triangle choke there, the bait, which is exactly what I was looking for. I stand up, which creates some more of a stacking pressure. Now I can bring my right arm around and work the pass. So you see how that works. This is called the King's Gambit. The triangle bait itself has been around for a long time, but I think Wim Deputer, I've talked about him a lot in the past. He's the one that really systemized the King. He called it the King's Gambit, and he really systemized that sort of triangle bait into a really, really workable thing. So I've been using that a lot. So we're breaking this down again. I'll repeat the same thing again. Yeah, this is just a replay, and as you can see, I recorded all this before my narration, and you can see I broke it down into four or five stages. And you can replay this bit, but also look up King's Gambit from Wim. He teaches it much better than I could teach it. He certainly does it much better. He's done it in competition many times, and it works for him very, very well. Okay, on to another roll, again with Gosha. Poor Gosha, sorry, picking on you today. Now in this case, I am thinking about the King's Gambit, but she's got my arms trapped, and I can't really free it for that reaching around behind. So I'm just trying to stack her, trying to raise my hips up high and just make it uncomfortable for her, but it's not really that effective. She does open her legs, and I reach around and grab the hemline of her gi trousers to lift her up. The idea being that I can sort of just manhandle her and push her over, but she does a really good of resisting there, keeping her spine strong, and then she catches the triangle on me. So this was caught me slightly unawares. I was slightly losing concentration. She does catch the triangle on me, and she's working for the angle that she needs. There's several ways to get out of this sort of late stage triangle, and I prefer the method where I work my body around the triangling leg, which is here, so what I call the underhook side. And it's very similar to the King's Gambit in many respects, but not as guaranteed, because I am still vulnerable to the triangle choke. Luckily for me, I got out of it, but it was pretty tight. I think any other situation, and if she had it on tighter to begin with, I would have had to tap. Now in this one, we're looking at the final roll. Gosha again pulls guard on me, and neither of us has inside control. We're both sort of one in, one out. So she's not really successful with her collar chokes because she can't get the other hand. Neither am I successful with the push choke. But what I can do is stand up. And you see what I call the Elvis, where I'm twisting my knee and hip into her hip, making full contact. That kind of wedges her into place, which means I can then assert more control with the stacking pressure. Now, rather than continue going forward, I step back and work around. The idea was to walk around her legs, but she's caught me in a sort of loose half guard. From there, I just do a knee slide through and get the side control. So that's it, a very short one, very quick one. I just wanted to, we had a number of rolls, Jason and mainly Gosha, where I was working my inside close guard. You know, it's not the most flamboyant of places to be, but when you're stuck inside close guard, as I see a lot of my students do, they're stuck inside close guard, especially in competition. You know, unless everything goes from 1A to B to C to D right for them, you know, they can be subject to being attacked and submitted or swept. So knowing how to use your posture, knowing the grip fighting, the inside control, and some of the sort of little hacks and tricks that you use, especially like the triangle bait, they're nice to know, nice to work, but you've got to keep practicing them to make them work. Being inside close guard kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. There are ways to get out, there are things to do, but as I acknowledge, there are some very, very good close guard players out there who will really, really have you, so you've got to be fully aware of all the things that can happen to you. That's all I wanted to show. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.